doing, guys? Block us. I feel big good.
So anyhow, a few notes about the Harbour Hopper before we get going. Right off the bat, it's got no suspension, no springs, no shocks. It's a rigid machine. It doesn't bend or twist, and it just rides around those big wheels up there. So it's like a 20,000-pound bicycle. You feel a little motion there, so it's important that everybody stays in their seat. Otherwise, well, if they do, if you all stay in your seat while we're moving, we won't lose anybody overboard this year. So that's a good thing. And it's a wide vehicle too. It's a bit wider than a lane of traffic on the street that where they make the lines. If you measure that out and then measure this be bigger. So we're going to come really close to things on both sides of the hopper. So please don't stick out anything outside of the Harbour hopper that you care about. Okay? Because stuff is going to come by really, really close.
So that's it.
All right.
You want to switch?
Now to get to the water, everybody knows we're going in the water, right? Okay, good. So to get into the water, we have a ramp down by the casino, and it's a nice and smooth concrete ramp. That's good, but like I said, it's low tide, so we have to go into the water fairly briskly when it's at low tide. And the approach to the ramp is really rough. So when I drive off the street, and you'll see it as we come down, you'll see it on the left-hand side. There's a gravel section there, and that's really bumpy. So when I leave the street, I'd like you all to be hanging on to something solid. Okay? And we'll bounce our way to the ramp, stop at the ramp, call Halifax Traffic Control, go in the water, come back out of the water at the end of our tour, go up that same ramp, bounce across the gravel, but I don't want you to let go when we start to get to the street until 4 wheels are on the street. Because this thing has no shocks, no suspension whatsoever, it'll be 2 wheels, 3 wheels, 1 wheel, 2 wheels, it'll be all kinds of things like that until the 4th wheel is on the street.
I'm learning how
The
to
4th wheel is
cook
right
and
under you guys in starboard side business class upper seating back there. Okay? No behind you, actually. That's right, that's that. So when that wheel gets on the road, you can let go. Okay, cool. Now, so this machine is a boat with wheels. It's not a truck that floats, which is kind of important. And that means that we have standard marine safety equipment. So we have life rings at the back. You got one? Yep, going down there. We got life rings at the back, both sides. If somebody's in the water, please throw the life ring to them. We'll turn around and pick them up at no charge whatsoever. The water's 13 degrees today. So if they're in the water, they probably want to get out of the water. So we'll pick them up. The thing at the back, the white object, large, heavy, circular thing, is a life raft that has a capacity of 75 people. So unlike the Titanic, we have room for everybody in the lifeboat. I was going to say we got 76. We'll have to pick and choose. So the problem with that thing is it's a massively heavy machine. And if we're going to launch it manually, Owen is going to be seeking some assistance to push it off the stern. Now, we don't launch it manually and somehow sink the Harbour hopper, because that will come off automatically at 1.5 meters down, pop to the surface, inflate, and it'll look like a big orange above-ground swimming pool. We'll all
We're 2 meters up.
That thing,
They're
sit down,
screwed.
relax, have a good time. Someone will tow us to a dock after the end of the ride. And we're pretty happy because we haven't had to use that in the last couple of weeks. So, life jackets, 2 kinds on board. Now, be honest with yourself. 40 kilo or less, 88 pounds or less is the little one, okay? These are for kids, and they're in the lower section of the boat on the outside, like right down there, like that. And then everywhere else, under your seat, not the seat in front of you, but under your own seat, are these ones, which Owen is demonstrating now. Put your head through the hole, tie them up into your chin, grab the long strands, cross them at the back, bring them to the front, tie up, something like a left-handed reverse double bow line. You can't tie knots, just tie lots, okay? You keep tying knots till you get to the end of the string. It'll give you something to do while we're figuring out what we're going to do. And you'll be all set, okay? So when we go in the water, you don't need to put the life jackets on unless we ask you to put them on. Or unless it becomes really obvious that you need to put them on. Okay? And like I said, they're under your seat. And I want to just reiterate that if you take the ones from the seat in front of you, then the people at the front don't end up with one. So make sure you take under your own seat. Okay? That's it for me. I'm going to jump in the front, take you guys for a ride. We'll be back in about an hour. Have a good ride, folks. It's a beautiful day in Halifax, which is unusual. Okay, thanks.
Hey. How tall is
tour kicked off. How are you feeling this evening? Excellent. I should let you folks know, it says on the fine print of your tickets, this vehicle doesn't run on diesel, it runs on enthusiasm. It's great for current gas price. So I'm just asking one more time, how are we feeling this evening? Alright. Keep the energy through the whole tour, folks. I look forward to it. Now, before I get the tour kicked off, my name is Owen. I'm your tour guide this evening. Now, I've lived in the HRM for my entire lifetime, except for during the fall off in Toronto attending college, and I can tell you folks all the city I love so near and dear. But first, I want to learn about you folks on board today. Do we have anyone joining us from outside of North America on board today? No? Anyone from the United States of America on board today? Anyone from outside of the Atlantic province of Canada on board today? Lots of hands. Okay, right on boats. Vancouver, nice. Ontario, no Ontario? Ontario, okay. Any more hands? Montreal, nice, okay. Anyone from inside the United Provinces, like PEI, New Brunswick, Newfoundland, Labrador? Any locals on board today? Excellent, glad to have you both on board. And before we get a tour kicked off, I'm just going to brief land acknowledgement. So folks, we are currently traveling through Halifax, which is located on unceded ancestral mainland territory. In the name of our language, Halifax referred to as Chibuktuk. That translates to Great Harbour, a title to make a lot of sense once we get the water portion of our tour. And although a lot of the history I'm going to today, it is colonial history, it's just very important to pick up our tour by acknowledging that it's not the only history of the land. Now, folks, the vehicle we are currently riding on, sometimes it's called a Harbour, but it goes by another name. That's the Bark 5. That's a true lighter, amphibious, resupply cargo 5. The 5 is such weight and load, that's 5 tons. And these vehicles we are currently on were originally created for use in the Vietnam War. And they look like I read today. They were kind of green and blue with a monk frog mask on the side. And they're jet black and beige with big mean sharp teeth. And a lot of them are filled with bullet holes. That is no joy. And aside from the wonderful leather seating we are currently sitting on, the biggest difference between the old Harbour hoppers and the current one is that there used to be 2 50 caliber machine guns on both ends of the vessel, which as we can see have been removed for safety purposes. As only vehicles were built, the 900 were built with a cost of $900 million. So you folks do the math, look at your currently sitting on $1 million vessel, which is pretty great. And one final thing I should note before we get our tour kicked off is that folks here in Halifax love the Harbour hopper. We're passing by on the street, sure, wave hello, say hello, and if we happen to cross paths with another Harbour hopper vessel, either on land or on the water, I want you all to join me together in the traditional Harbour hopper catchphrase of ribbit, ribbit. Like a frog mascot. So we have to cross paths with the Harbour hopper, join me together, yeah, at the top of your lungs, ribbit, ribbit. In fact, I'll have to get to the test right now to see what we're working with this evening. So it's 3, in 2, in 1. I'm trying to do a dining right now, whether enjoy that. Now we are getting our trip kicked off by heading up Prince Street. As you folks can see, Prince Street is kind of like one very large hill. Instead of time here in Halifax, we kind of feel like we're constantly walking up hills, which is why everyone in the city of Halifax has such great legs. Now, in a moment or two on our right-hand side, we'll be coming by Province House. Now, inside the Province House is a statue of Joseph Howe. In that statue is actually just across the street to this building right here to our left-hand side. Now a restaurant. This is actually formerly Joseph Howe's old newspaper building. And along with being a politician, he was actually a former teenager in Nova Scotia during his lifetime. He was also a journalist. And Joseph Howe is probably most famous for arguing for 6 hours straight in Parliament while Canada should have free press. Joseph Howe won that argument, so we want to thank him for a country like more than one source of news. There's an old legend here in Halifax referred to as the explosion window. Now, on the day of the Halifax explosion, a reverend by the name of Jean-Baptiste Moreau was looking at one of the windows of the church from the fire in the Halifax Harbour. Now, when the explosion went off, the reverend lost his life, and some say you can still see his ghostly face in one of the windows of the church. They tried to replace that window many times, remove the reverend's face, and yet apparently with every new pane of glass they put in, his face reappears. So you folks here in Halifax for a while, take a walk around St. Paul, you can spot the reverend's ghostly face for yourself. That church construction began on in 1749, and construction was complete in St. Paul in 1750. Now, coming up on our left-hand side will be the new Halifax Convention Center. Now, the Halifax Convention Center is located on Argyle Street.
They said ribbon, ribbon.
So before I actually tell my commitment center story, those folks were on my tour yesterday. So hello again. This is Captain Ruffalo's pet band. So to our left-hand side, we're next to the new Halifax Command Center, which is on Argyle Street. Found them in your bars and pubs and clubs. And back here in Halifax, we have the second most healthy club per capita in any Canadian city, just after St. John's. Now to our left-hand side, this area of the Command Center right here was actually used in 2019 to become a mini version of Jurassic Park for the Toronto Raptors for the 2019 NBA Championship. It was quite a party, pretty excited to be seen. Now just hopefully one day we can win again. No, it's fine. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Now back in 1749, when settlers arrived here in Halifax, Halifax was envisioned as more of a military town. In fact, the entire city of Halifax is laid out in a military-style grid pattern. And Brunswick Street, which we'll be trying on in a second, was originally called Barrack Street, because all the military barracks aligned the street where the soldiers lived. And now the soldiers who lived on Barrack Street, they started to get a bit of a reputation. They're very rowdy and getting in constant fights. Eventually, Barrack Street got the nickname of Knock 'em Down Street. Saturday night. Don't say I didn't warn you. And now coming up in a second, on the left-hand side, this brick building right here is the Halifax Academy building. That was the first ever school building built here in Halifax. And on the day of the Halifax explosion, students in their classroom raced to the windows to get a look at the fire going in the Halifax Harbour. Now the teacher who was teaching that day, she put a lot of effort in her lesson plan. So she walks over the windows, closes the heavy curtains on the students, and ushers them back to their seats. Now, a few minutes later, the explosion goes off, and every window in the nearby Halifax and Dartmouth area completely shattered. So by that teacher closing the heavy curtains, she saved the vision and possibly the lives of every student in that classroom. So kids on board today, listen to your teachers. We have just now arrived at Halifax City Hill National Historic Site. Originally the second most visited National Historic Site, but we just overcame Parliament House. We are Canada's most visited National Historic Site in all Canada. We're proud of that. But 510 people visit City Hill every year here in Halifax. I thought not too long ago here in the hill, they were mowing the lawn, which is a job I'm very happy I don't have.
Everybody's happy.
Now here in City Hill, along with housing Fort George, the hill is also home to Halifax's Old Town Clock. Now you folks look ahead of us right here, this white clock we are approaching, that is Halifax's Old Town Clock. Now the Old Town Clock was built 200 years ago and still uses the exact same years that it was built with. Side, we're talking about the main gate of Fort George. We're the centerpiece here on City Hill. And although it seems they are closing up right now for the day, Fort George is home to Halifax's living history exhibit. It's a really good way of getting more hands-on living experience of what the fort was like during its days of operation. You may see a very large moat that surrounds Fort George. That's what's here in Halifax referred to as the Pit of Doom. I know, very scary. But it was originally made as an optical illusion to fend off attacking soldiers. Imagine yourself from this hill right here to our right-hand side. You're a soldier attacking Fort George. So you've got soldiers pushing from behind, soldiers in front of you blocking your vision, and then all of a sudden the ground comes in front of you, and you fall on this large moat right here to our left-hand side. It's about a 10-foot drop to the bottom, and all the windows on Fort George would have muskets pointed out to find its soldiers trapped inside the moat. As Old Fort George was built in a bastion formation. That's another word for an 8-pointed star. And it was built that way so defending soldiers could cross fire upon anyone trapped inside their fort's moat. It's also why we're taking silly turns up here on City Hill. something of Mr. D, Canadian Jerry D's sitcom on CBC. And now back to Fort George for a moment. Now in the history of Fort George, the fort has never been attacked or overtaken by a traditional military force. However, in the year 2000, a woman came to visit Fort George and brought in her bag a flag with a martini glass on it. She entered Fort George, and when no one's paying attention to her, she climbed to the top of the fort, took down the Union Jack flag, flies in the mast, and replacing the martini glass flag, she grabbed her bag, essentially claiming Fort George as her own. Now, a few minutes later, she was kicked out and banned for life. So, folks on board today, if you happen to have a martini glass flag in your bag, please keep it in there. Now, folks, to our right-hand side, we are going next to the garrison grounds, large grass area, kind of called the Citadel Hill. And actually, this hill to the right-hand side is a naturally occurring amphitheater. And it's great for outdoor concerts. Now, all the reason this is very hidden, it's a great headlining act of room. Paul McCartney, the Rolling Stones, Kanye West, and our captain favorite, the Backstreet Boys. Later in the water portion of our tour, but they would alert George design of large vessels entering our harbor or perhaps enemy fleets of ships. And in fact, back in 2019, we had the U.S. Coast Guard visiting our Halifax harbor. Fort George happened to find the French flag, which is supposed to signify enemy vessel. So there's some beef going on in the U.S. Coast Guard over there on Fort George. I hope they can figure things out. Halifax, which is located on top of Fort George. If you're here in the city of Halifax, we refer to as a noon cannon. Every single day here in Halifax on 12 noon, they fire a blank cannon from the top of Fort George to signify the noon hour. The only day they don't do that is Christmas Day, December 25th. And so if you folks saw military government in Halifax Fort, if at 12 noon you hear a very loud bang, the city is not under attack, it is just lunchtime. Speaking of cannons, I'll get you to look across the street at these old military cannons behind this metal gate right here. Now this cannon is belonging to Royal Artillery Park. Royal Artillery Park is home to the oldest military base in North America and the oldest functioning military library in Canada. I haven't toured here at Royal Artillery Park. They are not open to public tours. You actually can go up to a private look at the military library. And coming up to our left-hand side, this beige house right here, this Ballard House, it's only 5-sided home in all of Halifax. And that house is built that way because weapons soldiers are coming to Halifax to live and work. They're given kind of unusual plots of land to build their homes on, or at least how to make do with what they were given. And to our left-hand side right here is the Halifax Wanderers fan shop. The Halifax Wanderers are a great new addition to our city of Halifax. They are our premier football club or soccer team, whichever way to say it. And if you folks want to work for a great way to spend an afternoon right here in Halifax, I definitely just help her in the Wanderers ground, catching a Wanderers game, or cheering on a home team. You'll notice the Wanderers ground, big blue flag, the flyer on the team's arena. Now, folks, in a moment or two, we're putting a set park scheme by the Halifax Public Gardens. But if you look in front of us right here, this home behind that bush right in front of us is actually the former house of the gardener of the Halifax Public Gardens. After the gardens are taken care of in one country, and then just right there, and then just having is a youth health center. And on to our right-hand side is the Halifax Public Gardens. The Halifax Public Gardens are a Victorian-style garden based loosely on St. James Park in London, England. And a couple of ways that you can become a Victorian-style garden is one, have at least 2 different types of trees in your garden, about 100 here in the public gardens, and 2, the walkways in your garden have to be large enough to hold 2 women walking side by side in Victorian-style hoop skirts. You don't really see any more of Victorian-style hoop skirts these days, but the public gardens is a very popular spot for prom and wedding photos. As for the Halifax Public Gardens, this home is the first ever covered skating rink in all of Canada. Now to our right-hand side, we are next to the main gate of the public gardens. As you may see, only the side entrances of that gate are open for public use. That's the thing, main center gate is only allowed to be unlocked if a member of the royal family is visiting Halifax. Now, we haven't had a member of the royal family visit Halifax since Princess Diana visited Halifax in the late 1980s. And over the list of the public guards, some other notable guests include Charles Dickens, Winston Churchill, and Pierce Brosnan. Now, folks, we have this is Spring Garden Road. Now, Spring Garden Road got its name for the natural occurring spring returns under the springs they built on top of. Now, until 1970, Spring Garden Road was entirely populated with Victorian-style homes running up and down the street. In more recent years, we saw more different shops, restaurants, and bars. And in fact, Spring Garden Road is the busiest shopping district east of Montreal. About 25,000 people shop along here every day. And folks, our number one fan of the Harbour is coming up to our left-hand side. Again! We love our fans. Now to our left-hand side is Jennifer's of Nova Scotia. It's a great souvenir for her time here in Halifax. But you want a traditional kind of keychain or postcard souvenir, Jennifer's a great spot to check out. It's all handcrafted goods by local Nova Scotian artisans. Now coming up on our left-hand side, this blue house right here is the only still standing Victorian-style home that remains on Spring Garden Road. Now to our right-hand side, this area of construction right here was formerly the Mills Brothers department store, one of the original department stores in all of Canada. It's not being used for apartment space, but I believe when we need that apartment building, Mills building, we'll keep that link to history there. And now to our right-hand side, you may see a very large glass building. What I was saying to be my left-hand side of this. I was going to say something on the microphone, but I feel like I would just round me out anyway, so, you know. Now, just to our left-hand side here is the Halifax Memorial Library. That's where the books of the Central Library just back there used to be housed. Now, the Halifax Memorial Library has not been used for many years here in Halifax, and it actually is illegal to tear down that building as it was built on old grave sites. The entire stretch of Spring Garden Road we are now on was once a grave site connected to the old burying grounds coming in a moment or two on our right-hand side. So here are the old burying grounds on our right-hand side. They were built in 1749, one day after settlers arrived here in Halifax. There's about 1,200 headstones here, but over 12,000 people are buried in the old burying grounds. And perhaps the most famous man to be buried in the old burying grounds is a man by the name of General Robert Ross. If you folks on board today happen to pay attention to your history classes, you may know that General Robert Ross was the man who gave the White House its name. During the War of 1812, before they burned down that building, he created all this nasty burn marks in the building, so it's covered up and painted over with white paint, hence the White House. And when he lost his life in the Battle of Baltimore, his dying wish was to bury up British soil. And at first his friends thought, of course, Robert, no worries, we can definitely do that for you. Until they realized England is really far from Baltimore. And they're most closer. Well, Halifax is a lot closer, and at the time that was sort of British rule, so that kind of happened to them. So they thought they'd bring it to Halifax instead. But the only thing they could find that was large enough to hold Robert's body was a giant full barrel of white Jamaican rum. They're like, okay, this is a new trick. This little guy finding me full barrel of rum, carrying to Halifax at a great funeral. He said for one of their dear, dear friends. And afterwards, his friends are wondering, was it good old basic Robert flying to Halifax with a giant full barrel of rum? And you know, Robert was a pretty clean guy. He wasn't very dirty. He was happy to have these glasses sitting around. So it truly chose their friend Robert farewell. They all go to drink from his full barrel of rum that his body was brought to Halifax in. And folks on board today, that was actually Canada's first full-bodied rum. Wow. And now folks, we're on American Street, which is one of the original and oldest streets in all of Halifax. And a pretty signature event that took place here in American Street back in 1945 was the VE Day riots of May 7th and 8th. Now on May 7th and 8th of 1945, soldiers and sailors began coming ashore to Halifax after victory in Europe during World War II. Now the city they returned to was a lot different than the one they had left. The population of Halifax had doubled since they were away at war. Now there wasn't enough housing, not enough food to eat, and overall these soldiers and sailors were very unhappy with how the city had changed. So they grouped together and began rioting along Barrington Street. They began smashing in storefront windows, setting tram cars on fire, and causing thousands of dollars in property damage. Eventually, the only way the rioters were stopped is that Alexander Keith's Brewery opened stores to the rioters and gave every rider a free glass of Alexander Keith's beer. In fact, Alexander Keith was so popular with folks here in Halifax, he was elected mayor 3 times in his lifetime. Now on the left-hand side, there's some buildings that have historical significance here on Garden Street. So right here on our left-hand side is the Marble Building. That was formerly the Wright Building. There's like George Wright. During the time he was living, was one of the richest men in Halifax. He was actually the largest financial creditor of the first ever YMCA. And he unfortunately lost his life on board the RMS Titanic. Now another little bit of history to it here on Barrington Street. Right to our left-hand side here is Julep. It's a great spot to check out for great cocktails. But that building was originally almost entirely destroyed by the Halifax explosion. Well, let's go a few stones on our main side, Julep, that are untouched by the Halifax explosion effects. And now to our left-hand side, we are next to St. Paul's again, which is located in front of Halifax City Square. It's known as Parade Square. Really the heart and center of the city of Halifax. And here in our city square, we have some great parties like our annual New Year's Eve celebrations, as well as many protests. And now to our left-hand side still is our Halifax City Hall, located in front of Halifax City Square. That's where Premier Mike Savage resides. And just below City Hall, to our left-hand side right here, is where Halifax's Old Town Jail used to be. Now here in the Old Town Jail, perhaps the most famous man to be housed was a man by the name of Harry Houdini. Now back in the day, Harry Houdini was in Halifax for a show of magic in his skate park. He showed up really, really well. Sat there to celebrate. He hopped out on Down Street, and then he moved too much to drink and gets locked up by the city sheriff. And the sheriff locks him in his cell, leaves 2 guards to watch over him, and goes home for the night. Now the very next morning, it was 3 or 4 in the morning, the sheriff was woken up by a phone call, and he was on the other phone from Harry Houdini. He says to the sheriff, "Sir, I'm so sorry, but I accidentally left my favorite pair of shoes in your jail cell. I know you want to get those back to me on my mailing address. How are you figuring this out?" The sheriff is badly confused. He runs over to the Old Town Jail, finds 2 guys sitting inside of his locked jail cell with a pair of shoes on the inside. So this next time he writes the famous escape artist, there was security on him. And now folks, to our left-hand side, we're next to Halifax Scotia Square, which has been dubbed as a city within a city. There are shops that are be found inside of that one building. And now folks, very exciting news. In a few moments, we'll turn this bus into a boat and heading into Halifax Harbour. Now, the captain mentioned the beginning of our tour, it's quite long to get into that ramp to the Harbour. Once again, please don't have to rally your seat for you. As we said, it's the Harbour. And there are some words of wisdom. If you don't have any very expensive iPhones and cameras, go over the railing and splash down. I personally don't want to see it being locked forever. Just words of wisdom. Anyway, I'll be hopping off the bus for a moment, so our captain ready Halifax traffic, and make sure we're in the ASA for a splashdown. So, talk to you about